Well, good morning, everybody. Today I'm going to do a video on one of my least expensive, most budget-conscious guitar rigs setups. I'm at a house where I don't have a lot of equipment, and I just left this here so that I would have something to play. But there are a couple issues, around this setup that I have that I wanted to kind of go over and then do a little sound sample. Um, I have some of the best guitars ever made, and I enjoy playing them, and I have great amplifiers, and I enjoy playing through them, and I have other stuff that I really like, but I always like to keep kind of a budget rig. And um, one of the reasons is during the recession, I knew a lot of people who lost everything, not because they were uh, because they spent like crazy, not because they were irresponsible with their money, but really just bad timing. Got into a house that cost a little too much, and then lost their job. There were a lot of things that were pretty rough on people then, and I always am humbled by the fact that I could be in a position at some point in my life where all I could afford is an inexpensive rig. And so I always keep one around to remind me that if I have to, I can go back to the least expensive stuff and still have a way to enjoy myself with music. So that's one issue. The reason that I have this particular setup is that this guitar is a cobbled together piece of a bunch of different guitars that most of the parts were free. Um, I call this my Pinocchio guitar because I put it together about a year ago out of parts that were just laying around so that I could make something. And if it turned out, I was going to keep it, and if it didn't turn out, I was going to get rid of it. Well, it didn't really initially turn out very well, and I just kind of hung it on the wall and forgot about it. And over time, it has kind of come together. Like Pinocchio didn't know he was a boy until after Geppetto put him together, and this guitar didn't know it was a guitar until after it had a little bit of time to sit and everything, with string tension on it, with the fretboard. I'll kind of go over where all the parts came from and why it was so inexpensive, but I would equate it to a bottom line Squier. If you were, I just stopped at a garage sale, and there was a Squier Bullet Stratocaster that was probably about what this guitar is, and the guy wanted $75 for it. I didn't get it because I don't need it, but um, I look at this as kind of the bottom of the barrel, except that I've spent a fair amount of time getting it to where it's really playable. So the uh, the neck came off of, I think, a Chinese Fender. It's kind of a weird thing. It has no skunk stripe on it, and there are some other parts that I must have had a Chinese Strat at one time. I ended up with this neck and some other parts for free in a trade, where what I was really trading for was also a really good deal, and I ended up with that. But these just kind of came along with the deal. The body was the first guitar body that I cut out when I first started making guitars in 2017 or 2018, and it had a lot of problems. I probably got $30 in the wood that I bought at Home Depot. It's poplar. I glued it. I glued two pieces together to get the 1.5 inch thickness, and then two 8-inch sections together to get the width to cut out the body. The problem was I used Gorilla Glue, and it's really, there's no comparison between Gorilla woodworking glue and Titebond glues. And so in successive builds I used Titebonds, but I don't know if it'll show up here, but there's a mid seam that's kind of coming apart, and the back seam never really went together the way that I wanted it to. And I made a lot of other mistakes on this guitar. If I took off the controls, you could see the swimming pool route and all the damage I did to it with successive builds or successive attempts at doing different things with this guitar as an experiment. I'm using my cheat sheet here. But so I got maybe 30 in that. The neck was pretty much free. The the pickguard and the controls came out of a Squire that I was upgrading. I just wanted to put a little bit of stuff in it, and I didn't want a black pickguard on that guitar, so I got something else. And then the pickups came from another Squire that I upgraded for a friend. I put in some bootstrap vintage sparkle pickups because he was asking me, if you're gonna, upgrade this Squire, what would you put in it? And I said that's what I'd put. So I ended up with these pickups. He goes, well, you can have them, and I really didn't want them, for anything. But when I started going through all the parts that I had scattered around and was trying to consolidate and get rid of stuff, and that's when I found these. And then, like I said, the hardware, I think it came off of something a couple years ago. It was all in a box. I had a tremolo, the bridge saddles. They're stamped Fender, but they look like the Chinese ones. So the neck, the tuners, I think came off a Squire, but I didn't have any money in any of this stuff. So literally maybe 30 bucks in the guitar. And then the rest of the rig, which I can't really show because I'm not good at moving the camera around. It looks like a jerky mess, like one of those fake scary movies. But I've got a Fender Frontman 10-watt amp that I got for $10 at a garage sale. They're about 20 or 30 or maybe 40 bucks at a pawn shop now. I have an Amun looper, which I bought when they first started selling those mini pedals on Amazon for about 22 bucks. I think they're about 40 or 50 bucks now. I got a Mosky reverb because this little Fender Frontman amp doesn't have reverb, and that was the same price as the looper pedal. It's around $22. Then a buddy of mine did a review on the vintage, the Behringer Vintage Overdrive, and that was like a real budget pedal. But I like it, and I liked his review, and it kind of sold me on it. And that was $29. I think it was at Sweetwater. I think they're like $39 now. I might have got it on sale. The guitar cables that I bought, or this guitar cable is one of many that I have. It's got the gold tip, and they're pretty high quality for the price. Planet Waves by D'Addario. I love these cables, and they hold up better than anything I've had in this price range. Then the jumper cables that go between the pedals and the amp and my input side of the overdrive are also Planet Waves by D'Addario, and I think it was a 4-pack for around 10 bucks. Then I got the power supply for each of the pedals, because I don't like batteries and pedals; they just end up going bad. And it's a 9-volt power supply with, I think it had 5 leads on it. That was $9 or $7 at Sweetwater. And then the most expensive part of this rig is this power conditioner, which is a rack-based power conditioner. And there are 3 things it does. Number 1, it's a surge protection. Number 2, it helps ensure that ground is in the right position. So if you go play a gig and their grounding's screwed up at their building, this corrects that problem so you don't shock yourself. And lastly, it can eliminate some of the noise associated, especially with single coils, but just background noise. And what's really weird is I played it this morning and there was no noise. I'm playing it now and there's the amp's on right now and there's some noise coming through it. So there's something in the circuitry of this house that causes that, which is why I bought it in the first place. And it just, it's hard to isolate. The house has oddball wiring in it, so that's probably part of it. But anyway, so in total, I got about $230 in the entire setup. And the reason that I leave the power conditioner with this stuff is I have a really nice Furman power conditioner that's like a cord snake. It's got a fairly long cord. It's real compact. You can throw it in the back of the amp to take the amp to do a gig, and you don't have to worry about having this big rack-mounted thing. So the other equipment that I have is much more designed towards taking and going somewhere and playing. And this Fender Frontman amp, I wouldn't even mic it to go play it somewhere. So, anyways, that's the breakdown of why I have this set up. What the total cost is in today's dollars, that would be the cost of an entry-level guitar that was probably pretty crappy. And this one, I've gotten to a point where it's actually playable, and I can get some sounds out of this. I mean, I'll let you judge what the quality of the sound is, but like I said, it's a budget rig, and and when I'm here and that's the only thing I have to play, it's fine. I will probably put another acoustic guitar here and have that, but it's also going to be a budget friendly guitar, and it's going to be in an environment where it doesn't get a lot of love. So with that, I'm going to do a little sound sample. So there you have it. A bunch of mistakes there, but just for fun.